Welcome back to Keeping It Real podcast with me, I'm Sweet Tea. This is an audio only solo version. Hope you enjoyed the last episode with my fellow Houston buddy or colleague, what would you call him? Met him, networked with him in last September at the Summit of Greatness with Lewis House. Shout out to Lewis House and the School of Greatness. Always love to give a plug whenever I can on that show. But anyway, I go into this episode with the theme of jumping in scared. Jumping in scared. I'm talking to you about the first time, not that I jumped in scared to do something. The first time that I did something in the production world back in college, and I jumped in scared to do it. The first time I did that, and go right into it. We were in a class. We were in the TV studio production class, working on some show promoting bottled water. That's what I remember of it. It was a commercial all about bottled water, and we were selling bottled water. And I was given the role of floor director on that little shoot. Might have been putting together a magazine show, with a talk show magazine show. One of the commercials sponsors, it was a class, but that was the bottled water thing. But yeah, we're working on this magazine show. I forget the actual topic of the show, but anyway, I was given the role initially as floor director on the set, first floor on the studio, and behind the camera. I was actually running one of the cameras as floor director, and I was to be standing out to the side a little bit and controlling the flow of communication from the director. All of a sudden, I hear we have headsets in the studio, right? We have headsets, and through the headsets, I hear, anyone would like to step up to the director role on this term, now's your chance. And so I did. So I jumped in, kind of not knowing what I was getting myself into, and tried it out. That was the point where I was calling getting my feet wet, and I jumped in. Let's say I would do that more and more. You jump on the roller coaster, maybe being afraid for it. And I have roller coaster stories similar to this too, jumping and scared doing a roller coaster. But it's like jumping onto a roller coaster, and can we go back and do it again? Jumping and scared the first time. Now I'm going to want to do it again. Directing. That was for me. So I loved it. Next step was we were talking about newscast. They did a newscast. They still do something like that today. You put together an evening show, I think every other day, maybe once a week. I forget. I don't know the exact schedule what they do now, but but we did a newscast. It was actually every day. Was it Tuesday, Thursday? I can't remember that either. I think it was every day. They did something every day. And there's like, if you're interested, come down and check out the newscast, see how we do it. You can sit in the studio control room, watch, wherever, shadow, learn the role, learn the ropes, TV studio production. So I did that. And I was kind of shadowing, following the role of the director on the newscast. moving forward a little bit, fast forward, that's where gears really kicked more into high gear. I would find myself just sitting in there after jumping in, and I'd get on the roll and learn about the roll and do what I can do to get better and improve. I would find myself sitting in the studio control room after hours, when sometimes late at night. I would just go in there and push buttons. They'd often say, you come in, push buttons. You're not gonna mess anything unless you touch this. Whatever you do, don't touch that. But everything else, you're not gonna really mess things up. So I came in and did that. I played around, learned a few things, and it was a simple switch. It was a simple thing that we can learn on and everything. It was simple. So I was jumping into the role of newscast director, production director later on even. We were trained on that. I've said this to certain people. And now these days I'm like big on editing, but I hated edit, and I hated back then while in college. I did not like it. I was scared of it. I don't know what it was exactly, and until the last year, but because we were always trained to do what you can when you're on live to tape to minimize what you need to do in editing. Put your graphics in, whatever, get them all ready for live. You can fix something in post. That's what post was for. These days, today, a lot of the stuff is created in the edit room. A lot of good stuff is created live too, don't get me wrong. A lot of good stuff is created live. And if you're going live, the best thing to do, especially if you want graphics, is you need to put your graphics in live, especially if live streaming today. You need those graphics in, otherwise the graphics aren't going to hit the live until maybe you get into post and you add them in, and then they're in another version of it that's not live later. So I got into jumping and scared into directing, into the newscast directing, and later on in my final year, I would jump in scared, and I would really learn to love the art of editing. And today, I really do, and I'm impressing myself each day with the edit bays and everything. So the theme, like I said at the beginning, is jumping in scared. Do it. You never know what you're gonna learn about yourself, what you like, what you hate, what you maybe you thought hated, but you would actually end up loving, because what you know or what you don't know, I don't know really where to go there. What you don't know is not as bad as people say a lot of the time. So jump in scared, do it scared, not knowing. Take that action, take that first step into something, and you don't know what you're gonna feel after you do it later on. Just jump in scared. Keep this short, maybe keep this to a 10-minute episode, and I'll just do just that. I'm gonna keep it real. If you like anything you hear on the show, let me know maybe who you want to hear in the future from a guest that I may talk to later on. I'm gonna bring you another guest later on that we actually had in person on another podcast I produce, and we're gonna talk about, she's a speaker, Toastmasters known in Toastmasters. She was on the other podcast as well that I produced, and I brought her on here. And that episode, I have to still edit that and finish that and finalize that, and that'll be coming here in the next month or so. Less than a month now. I got caught up on the other podcast and got a lot of other things floating around. If you like what I'm hearing, leave a review. Let me know what's missing. What am I not doing? What do you want to hear that's not already talked about? Because I know there's a bunch that you may want to learn about, you may want to hear about, person you want to hear from. Let me know, and I will keep it real with them here on the podcast when I talk with them. Trying to bring in my first in-person studio guest. So let's see how that goes here coming up. With that, keep it real, and I will see you in the next episode.